Hello, I'm Eric Hinchando, and I'm here with my friends Nicholas Ward and Roy Zhang. Today we're going to talk about the reaction of American businesses to the attacks on Pearl Harbor. Nicholas will start talking about the actual attacks in a second, but first, let's get to our argument. We argue that people don't understand how much people wanted to help, especially American businesses. So that's where we're going to get to here. All right, Nicholas, you're up.
Thanks, Eric. So, the attacks on Pearl Harbor occurred on Sunday, December 7th, 1941. The first wave of Japanese aircraft arrived at approximately 7:48 a.m. The assault consisted of two waves, with the second wave starting at 8:50 a.m.
And also, something to note on that, Nicholas, thank you, is that the first hit started at 7:55 a.m. That's actually pretty interesting, because that's 7 minutes after the planes arrived. And the entire air raid lasted roughly an hour and 15 minutes, but yeah, that was pretty ridiculous and surprising, and also very tragic, of course. Lots of people died. Anything else you would like to say, Nicholas?
Yes. One big reason why the attacks happened, the first hit happened 7 minutes after the planes arrived, was because they were trying to blend in as American flight soldiers doing a flight training course. They flew around and made it look like they were doing a training exercise.
All right, thanks, Nicholas. Now, people didn't really understand how this affected people in the sense of they wanted to help with the war effort. So I'm going to talk about how, people felt. So here's a good example for you. Think about this. All right, so let's say you live in your home in Nebraska, and you have a wife and two kids, and you live happy lives, but you're a soldier. Now, you don't have to do anything to fight because, well, the U.S. isn't in World War II. But after the attacks, you do, and unfortunately, there's a good chance that you're going to die. So, people didn't want that to happen, obviously, so people didn't want to fight. It's that simple. So people were very mad when they were forced to fight because they got attacked, so now they had really no option. So that is the big thing here, because, people don't want to. Now, businesses had the same sort of thing. They didn't want people to die. So, well, they didn't want people to be in war. So that's really it. It's just people don't want to because it's just deadly. It's that simple. And that is why this is so important. Remember the thoughts of other people, not just the actual events. Now, Roy, give us an example of an American business specifically trying to help with a war effort, doing something that was different than whatever that company made. So, Roy, why don't you tell us about Willow Run?
Yes, thank you, Eric. The factory was in the city of Ypsilanti, Michigan. It was officially known as Air Force Plant 31, but it eventually became known as Willow Run. At the time, it was the largest building in the world with an area of 3.5 million square feet. Incredibly, a B-24 bomber plane came off the line every 63 minutes. The factory produced 8,685 B-24s, which is nearly half of the 18,000 B-24 bombers that were made across the country at that time. Over 40,000 people worked there, and lots of women worked there instead of mostly men.
So, the big picture is just that people didn't want so many soldiers to die, so they just tried to stay out of World War II. And, well, people wanted the war to end as soon as possible, especially the businesses, because, well, now they had to be in the war, so they might as well lose the least amount of people as possible. So they made stuff and helped out, even if it wasn't the real business model. And this should be a more known event. Now, this year's National History Day theme was Revolution, Reaction, and Reform. And this is most certainly the reaction of the good American people.
Now we know that there are many different perspectives of what's happening here, such as the Japanese. Sure, they were happy that Pearl Harbor had been bombed, affecting the U.S., but they weren't happy about all the anger that fueled the Americans to make new weapons.
Yes, thank you, Nicholas. And again, I'm Eric Anchondo.
I'm Nicholas Ward.
And I'm Roy Zhang.
Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.